According to Business Insider, Bitcoin is going nuclear. But is Bitcoin in a bubble, or is it here to last? And more importantly, is there still a chance to make a fast fortune from these new cyber monies? Including the chance for 10 times, 100 times, even an incredible 1,000 times your money in return? Stay tuned for the answers to these questions and more. My guest is best-selling author, serial entrepreneur, and investing expert James Altucher. In just 18 months' time, he's made an incredible 8,000% from cryptocurrencies. Today, James is blowing the lid off of what he's calling the 100,000% crypto secret, where everyday people can turn as little as $500 into $500,000. James, thank you so much for joining us today.
Monica, it's absolutely my pleasure. I'm so glad you're having me on.
Well, I would guess most people know you as James, the best-selling author, because you've written 18 best-selling books, including what USA Today calls one of the 12 best business books of all time. And your books, Choose Yourself, Reinvent Yourself, and the Choose Yourself Guide to Wealth have all gone on to be bestsellers. But what is most interesting is your expertise in spotting the next big thing in investing. For example, you once turned a personal $2,000 investment into profit of more than $10 million by getting into the next big thing in technology. Am I correct in saying you see Bitcoin and these other cryptocurrencies as the next big thing to get into if you're an investor?
Monica, I'm so glad you brought up my background as an investor. You know, a lot of people know me just from my books, but I'm not sure everyone knows my background as an investor. See, I once ran a $33 million hedge fund, a $125 million venture capital firm, and I've sat on the board of a $600 million company. I've written about investing in the Wall Street Journal, the Financial Times, Yahoo Finance. I've been on CNBC, MSNBC, Fox. In fact, not many people might know this, back in 2013, I was on CNBC and my good friend Herb Greenberg asked me specifically about Bitcoin. This was in 2013. Despite being almost laughed off TV, when I told him this, back in 2013, I set up a Bitcoin-only store to sell my Choose Yourself book. And as far as I know, this was a world's first. No one had ever set up, as far as I know, a store that sold books just in Bitcoin. And now, look around. In places like Japan, more than 250,000 retailers are set to start accepting cryptocurrencies. And since that time on TV, no one's laughing now because Bitcoin is up 610% in just the last year. And it's not just Bitcoin. Ethereum, another popular cryptocurrency, is up 2,400% in the last 12 months. Point being, if you truly want to create wealth that can change your life, you simply must pay attention to what's happening in cryptocurrency. I firmly believe this.
And in less than 6 minutes, right here on this very broadcast, you're going to reveal something you've never shared publicly. A secret you believe will unlock a once-in-a-lifetime chance to become a crypto millionaire. And even better, you're going to show folks an easy way they can use it right now for incredible returns.
That's right. And to get right to it, I believe anyone can use my secret and have the chance to make, and this sounds unrealistic, but it's truly not, as you'll see as I'm explaining this. I believe anyone can have the chance to make 1,000% returns on their money in the next 12 months. That's 10 times your money over the next year. Just so we're clear, that means if you're starting with $1,000, you could have a real chance to make $10,000 using my secret. If you start with more, say $10,000, you could expect to have a chance at $100,000 and on and on. Look, I really hate to make these types of promises. In my email every day are people pitching me on huge profit percentages for this or that. How many times have you seen those? And how many times have they actually worked out? In my experience, 0 times. That's why I've never done anything like that in my career. And I'll never do it about anything in the stock markets because stock markets won't deliver those huge gains anymore. But bottom line is this. This is the first and only time in our lives that we have a truly legitimate ability to turn $1,000 into $1 million, which sounds crazy, but that's not what I truly believe. In other words, 100,000% return, which again, I know sounds ridiculous.
That's incredible. I mean, and all folks need to do is to get into Bitcoin to get these kinds of returns?
No, and that's the issue. You should not just go out and buy only Bitcoin. I want to be super clear about this. I don't want anyone to watch this presentation and then go out and buy Bitcoin or any other single cryptocurrency until you know this simple secret I'm about to reveal. There's a lot of misinformation out there. Some of this misinformation I am seeing is very dangerous. And of course, investing will always carry its risks. I'm not claiming anything is guaranteed, but once you know this secret, you can feel more secure. With this secret in hand, you'll be impervious to any scams you encounter. And then with my help, in 5 seconds, you will know which are legitimate and which are pure BS. You will know which cryptocurrencies to hold on to. You will know which cryptocurrencies to actively trade. You will know exactly how to allocate your portfolio of cryptocurrencies, and you know how to get in and out of trades with safety, which is very important.
Well, of course, I'm dying to know what your 100,000% secret is. Can you tell us more?
I can tell you 3 things about it right off the bat. First, what I'm using leverages something I call hardwired directly into computer codes, directly into the software of these currencies, letting you know which cryptocurrencies are legitimate and which are scams. Very important. It's important because you don't get stuck into these coins that will do nothing more than losing you money. Second, my secret is extremely simple to understand, and that's the key. In fact, you can boil down the entire secret into 4 words. Once you know the words, you'll know exactly how to find which cryptocurrencies have the power to give you the chance at life-changing profits. And third, you have the opportunity to hear incredible top 1% information you won't hear anywhere else. I know this. Unless you're plugged in at the highest levels of Silicon Valley's venture capital scene, then you'll likely never hear about this 100,000% secret.
And you told us before you plan to reveal this secret right here on this broadcast?
Yes, indeed. But before I reveal it all a few minutes from now, I want to give a quick warning to everyone watching. If you are not interested in learning how to make enough money to retire from work in the next several years, you should stop watching this right now. That's how important my message is today, and that's how much I believe in it. Let's admit it. What we all want is income and wealth that do not require you to hustle 8, 10, 12, 14 hours a day. If you've read any of my books, you know trying to get rich from a job is just a dead end. Meanwhile, what's happening in cryptocurrencies right now makes it possible where you only need to spend a few minutes a week for a chance to tap into all the wealth and income you'll ever need. And best of all, anyone can do this.
When you say anyone, do you include those who've never bought Bitcoin in their entire life?
When I say anyone can get rich using my secret, I do mean basically everyone. You don't need to be a computer expert or a hacker. You don't need to know anything about the technical details of Bitcoin or really much else about Bitcoin. You don't need to be a trader or a venture capitalist. You don't need a lot of free time. You don't need a college degree to do this. And I'm a big believer that you definitely don't need a college degree to do this. You see, Monica, the real problem with cryptocurrencies isn't that they are hard to buy. They're actually very easy to buy thanks to sites like Coinbase and many others. The real problem is not the ability to buy them. The real problem is finding which cryptocurrencies to buy.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, there are too many to buy. There are more than 900 cryptocurrencies on the market right now, and new ones are coming out all the time. Imagine trying to trade or even figure out 900 of these things. That'd be like having 900 stocks in your brokerage account. It boggles my mind, at least. It should boggle anyone's mind. At the same time, I estimate 99% of these cryptos will actually go bust at some point. That's why you need the knowledge I'm going to share with you right now today, to know how to identify the ones that can hand you 100,000% returns from those that can go to zero. Using my secret method, you can have the chance to make a lot of money trading less than 5 specific cryptocurrencies, less than 5 compared to 900. And that's another thing I love about this secret. It offers radical simplicity for anyone who wants to make money from cryptocurrencies. And I mean anyone, even if you've never heard the word cryptocurrency in your entire life.
And this methodology is something you've personally used to make money, is that correct?
Yes, correct. I've used this secret in my own life to pocket huge sums of money. In fact, I used the same 4-word secret to get into one cryptocurrency, and as a direct result, I made off with about 8,000% in only 18 months. Again, once you know my secret, you'll know which cryptocurrencies to buy and when to potentially make 10 times your money in the next 12 months. Even better, you can make 1,000 times your money over the next few years. This is true generational wealth. The fact is, this kind of information is what turned me into a crypto millionaire, and I can do it for anyone watching this right now.
Can you tell us when you made this 8,000% return? I mean, is this something you did recently?
Yeah, I was an early investor in a new cryptocurrency called Zcash.
It's interesting you made this money without using Bitcoin. I mean, for a lot of us, it seems like Bitcoin is the only digital currency to get into. Why do you think that is?
It's true, Bitcoin is getting the most attention right now. In fact, just recently, Bitcoin surged to record highs over $5,000. Had you bought just $100 worth of Bitcoin back in 2010, you'd be way over $75 million today, which is just incredible. But it's just the beginning. It's the beginning not only for Bitcoin, but for all cryptocurrencies that I'm about to recommend. For example, there's a crypto called Potcoin that has spiked as high as 12,626%. Then there's Cloakcoin, up 9,348%. There's Californium, up 18,156%. There's Tesla Coin, up 58,650%. I am so good at memorizing numbers, it's incredible. There's PivX, up 55,996%. There are literally dozens of other coins you can find which have gone up 1,000% or more the last few months. But here's the thing, only a handful of these will pay off going forward, over and over and over. In fact, do not buy any of the ones I just listed. That's because I predict 99% of these hot new cryptos will crash and burn. And here's the key point. If you can find the 1% of them destined to succeed, you have the chance to get very, very, very wealthy. I'm going to show you today how to know which are scams and which can pay off in a huge, huge way.
By the way, all these numbers might seem outrageous, insane even. But before this show, I had my team verify and crunch all the numbers. So when you hear James say things like, it is possible to get 80-time returns or 1,000-time returns, realize that these kinds of numbers are both possible and real. What do you think is the reason why we're seeing these incredible numbers from cryptocurrencies? What's causing these huge spikes we're seeing?
I mean, that's a great question. It all stems from the biggest shift in money since coinage was invented over 1,000 years ago. I mean, before AD, before Jesus was born. In short, we're moving as a civilization from a philosophy of theism to a philosophy of humanism to eventually, and this is what we're seeing, to a philosophy of dataism. And I'll explain all of what that means. Take medicine as an example. It used to be when you were sick, I don't know, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, you'd pray to God, or whatever your God was, you'd pray to a God to be healthier. In some societies, you might sacrifice an animal or go to the local shaman or whatever. That's theism, this belief that a higher power will cure all of your ills in medicine. This eventually turned into humanism, obviously, because now when you're feeling sick, you go to a human, you go to the doctor. You tell them your symptoms, they put a hammer on your knee, they pat you on the back and make you cough, they give you a diagnosis and say, take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning. Point is, you depended on humanism, a belief in your doctor and his medical training. Now, in every industry, not just medicine, but all of them, we've kind of evolved, and we're starting to evolve into what I call dataism with our health, for instance. We use a Fitbit, we get blood work, we get an MRI, we get an EEG, we have robotic surgery, we can understand our genetic coding, we can use genetic coding to strip out deadly diseases. In the medical industry, everything has moved from a belief in God to save us, and a belief in human doctors to save us, to now a belief that data plays a more and more important role in curing our ills. And again, I bet you can go through every industry and find this shift from theism to humanism to dataism. This is really important to understand, and most people don't grasp this when looking at money and cryptocurrencies. But it's really important, because just look at how much money you could have made, and again, in the medical industry, playing on this idea. You could have been buying the right pharmaceutical stocks that relied on data. For instance, a pharma company named Biogen has seen its stock go up 10,000%. Amgen has seen its stock soar an astounding 176,000%. Celgene has gone up 44,860%. That's what happened in medicine, but it's happening in everything. Accounting, the legal profession, the military, you name it. Everything is moving from a kind of belief in a higher power or God that will help us, to a belief that humans and human innovation will help us, to finally a belief and trust in data. Now, I'm not saying anything negative about someone's personal beliefs in religion or God. The point is only about what's driving innovation. For example, look at the oil industry. It used to be you'd stick a drill in the ground, you'd take a guess, where should we drill? Stick a drill in the ground and pray for oil. It was the only way you could have energy to fuel the world. Every industry needed oil. Then drillers who knew what they were doing, these called wildcatters, trusted gut instincts that would tell them where the oil was. In short, humanistic. But now, even that's shifting too. Here's an example. I recently made an investment into a new oil company. The company is 100% reliant on the latest innovation in geological data called 3D seismic data. We go into abandoned wells completely abandoned by humans. We find oil exactly where the computer tells us where oil is. We're only reliant on the data. In short, dataism. Does this make sense? It works every time in every industry you can think of. I could talk about the legal industry. I could talk about the military and warfare. I could talk about the food industry. Everything is going in this order. Theism to humanism to dataism. And
you're saying the same thing's going to happen with money?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, it's already happening with our money. Let's look at a dollar bill. Hold on a second. What's this?
That would be a $100 bill.
What are the words on the back?
In God we trust.
So it starts off as a reminder of our theism roots, that in God we trust. Oh, trust this $100 bill because it says in God we trust. And that helped us because many people believe in God. So we had to trust in a God to believe that the money had value. But then this became a government-backed currency. Like on the back of the $100 bill, there's Independence Hall, where the U.S. government first started. There's Benjamin Franklin, one of the founding fathers. So and there's the signature. This is backed by the Secretary of the Treasury. So it's this enormous belief in the humans of our government that allow us to trust what's essentially a $100 bill. We imagine that this is $100. We believe that we have a contract with the government, and if that doesn't work, at least in God we trust. So theism and humanism baked into this bill. We have so much faith in a government-backed currency that we let them print out trillions of dollars like this. But eventually, humanism fades just like theism fades. That's what this is ultimately worth. They try everything to stop it, of course. They put the pyramid with the eye on the... What is a pyramid with an eye doing on the $1 bill? Are there people still believing in the Egyptian gods or pharaohs? They try everything. They say the U.S. government never defaults. They'll do everything to back up either theism or humanism so you don't lose the faith in the dollar. But it's all just based on faith.
And you're saying there's been a shift in faith with money, just like what we're seeing in medicine and other industries.
Exactly right. The next evolutionary phase in this process is exactly dataism. It has to happen to solve all the problems caused by theism and humanism. All a cryptocurrency is data and processing. That's all there is to it. Currency is going to move towards data, just like every other industry has evolved towards data. We already have seen the beginnings of it. Think of all the places where you're forced to use credit cards instead of cash. In general, the direction of currency has already been moving towards the basics of data, and it doesn't bode well to the future of the US dollar either. You can't print up $1.5 trillion without consequences, including people losing faith in the humanistic institutions behind it, like, for instance, the Federal Reserve banks.
This makes sense. But how do you go from the big idea behind cryptocurrencies to the chance to get 100,000% returns from using your secret?
Well, I'm using a very simple model. So simple, once I say it, you'll see it's all clear. In the US alone, there's $1.5 trillion in government-backed currency out there. That's the demand for currency, 1.5 trillion. People need that cash. The demand for currency is only going to go higher. That's why we keep printing dollars. Meanwhile, there's actually a limited supply of legitimate cryptocurrencies out there. Let's say the market capitalization of one of these cryptocurrencies is currently at 500 million. Now let's say, for reasons I'll explain in a minute, everyone decides to convert their US dollars into this particular crypto. What's going to happen? Well, if you do the math, from 500 million to $1.5 trillion, that's a 300,000% increase in value. And that's real. That's the actual spread between the demand for money and legitimate cryptocurrencies. But there's something else really crazy about this.
What's that?
When this hypothetical crypto goes global, it's going to add trillions more in value. It has to, because that's the demand for it. That's the demand for money. And cryptocurrencies solve the problems that money has, just in the same way in every other industry. Dataism has solved the problems of humanism, which solve the problems of theism. Now, billions, trillions, these seem like crazy numbers, but remember, we're talking about a new form of money. And right now, how much money on the planet is in the form of paper money? The answer is nearly all of it. Of course, nobody can predict what this exact number will be, but based on this model, I'm very comfortable saying one or more of these cryptocurrencies could reach at least 100,000% in returns, and sooner than you might believe. This is why the history of money has to go in this direction, because money is always evolving into something more transportable, more anonymous, and a better store of value. For example, if you have US dollars, you can't use them in Mexico because you need pesos. If you go to a bank, convert your dollars into pesos, someone at the bank knows all about it, and you've lost all your privacy. Then if you actually send your money to someone in Mexico, it has to go through a local reserve bank, the Central Reserve Bank, the international wiring system, the local bank in Mexico, down to the person in Mexico you're sending your money to. Every step of the way, there's transactions, there's people looking at what you're doing, there's maybe government organizations looking at what you're doing. There's so much opportunity for human error, transaction fees, forgery, loss of privacy. So cryptocurrencies solve all of these problems. With cryptocurrencies, they are literally codes containing information. Memorize your codes and you can take your money anywhere, which means you can literally cross borders with $1 billion stored in your head.
Is this privacy angle what got you first interested in cryptocurrencies?
Well, just in general, we live in crazy times. The most unexpected things are almost guaranteed to happen. 9/11 happened. Germany had inflation of their currency. I mean, their whole economy collapsed, and it later led to genocide and World War. Almost every country you could think of, Argentina, Russia, all of these countries saw their currencies completely collapse when their populations fully trusted that they would never collapse. So anything can happen. The fact that the US government has so blatantly treated their dollar like toilet paper is only making the world crazier. I don't know if this means inflation. I don't know if it means deflation. I don't know if it means recession. All I know is that everything that happened in 2008 and 2009 scared the hell out of me personally, and scares me every single morning when I wake up. At some point, something will happen that will make the dollar questionable. I need a currency that has no border, and I need a currency that is safe regardless of world conditions. So I started looking into Bitcoin. In fact, I first got involved in Bitcoin right before I sold my book, Choose Yourself, on Amazon. I created a website that allowed people to buy the book with Bitcoin only a month before it was available for purchase with US dollars on Amazon. It got me so much attention in the media. Then an amazing thing happened. I got a call from one of the top players in the world of cryptocurrencies who told me about a currency named Zcash. He said, look, this is legit. It's better than Bitcoin. I don't know if it will succeed or not, but it's worth taking a look at. Take a look at what they plan to put into the code, study it, and do your own research, but it's legit. So I did do my own research, and I did feel it was a legitimate currency that was solving many problems. In fact, it fit perfectly with the metrics of the secret I'm going to tell you in about a minute. To finish my story, I got in and cashed out 18 months later for an 8,000% gain.
I have to say, getting 80 times your money back in only 18 months is incredible. That's enough to turn $1,000 into $80,000 and $100,000 into $8 million. But let me ask you this, James. When do you think this digital currency revolution really starts to take off? Did everyone already miss the boat? Is it too late to make these kinds of returns?
Such a great question, because I get asked this all the time. I want to be super clear in the answer. You did not miss the boat. Far from it. In fact, if you were watching me on screen right now, your timing is actually perfect, because we're on the cusp of watching a select few cryptocurrencies skyrocket 100,000% or more. And you can do it in a way that avoids the scams. And you're going to have to make a move fast, though, but the opportunity's there.
So what is the trigger point? When will we know your prediction is correct?
I would tell everyone to watch for 3 things. First, some country, we don't know which one, will probably replace their paper money with a cryptocurrency. Either the government will replace it, or the people will rise up and say, oh, we don't trust that currency anymore, we're going to switch to a cryptocurrency. This could happen as soon as a few months from now, or it could even happen tomorrow. Argentina is a great example. It's a legit government, but you can't ever really trust the peso there. Whenever the peso starts to fall or the government acts crazy, it's really interesting because you can see Bitcoin spike up every single time because the wealthy there experienced this in the early 1980s. They lost all of their paper money. It was seized. They transfer their money into Bitcoin whenever they get a little nervous, and that causes the price of Bitcoin to go up. So all it takes is one country to convert all of their money to crypto, and cryptos take over from that point the world. Second, you will start to see, and this is already starting to happen, but you're going to start to see a critical mass of retailers, stores, who will only accept cryptocurrencies as payment. Did you know more than 250,000 retailers in Japan are starting to accept cryptocurrencies? That's interesting to me. Right now, there are 3.8 million retail stores in the United States. Maybe only a few hundred accept Bitcoin, but once you see a few million stores start accepting cryptocurrencies, then we're going to reach another point of no return. And we've already seen this type of behavior from consumers and retailers many times before with the internet, with credit cards, and so on. Same thing's going to happen with cryptocurrencies. Third, you're going to see the world's central banks getting into the game. According to a story from Reuters dated September 1st, here I'll read it, 6 big banks have joined a group developing a new settlement currency based on blockchain technology, which is behind Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies. So I see names on this list like UBS, Barclays, Credit Suisse, the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, BNY Mellon, Deutsche Bank, pretty much the biggest banks in the world. So this is huge news. This story tells me, and should even tell the listener, that the central banks are getting into cryptocurrencies in a big way. And once the big banks get behind cryptocurrencies, there will be no stopping the shift. That's why there's never, ever been an opportunity in our lifetime that's 100,000% opportunity like this. That's why we're just in the first inning. I've never even heard of such an opportunity, and yet there it is right in front of us. These catalysts that I just mentioned, they're not only possibilities, they're probabilities. They're already happening. So it's so unbelievable. Most people can't believe it even when they see it.
Okay, James, I can't wait anymore. How is it possible to know which cryptos to buy to take advantage of this massive shift? Can you tell us your secret?
Yes, I can. Here's the secret. You can make 100,000% the next few years and at least 1,000% in the next 12 months simply by knowing 4 words. Limited supply, limitless demand. I'm going to say it again. It's really important. We'll go over it. Limited supply, limitless demand. That's all there is to it. 4 words with huge implications.
Limited supply, limitless demand.
Yes.
What does that mean?
And here's what it means. If you know the cryptocurrencies that have a very tight, limited supply, but you also know that money, the demand for money in the world, has limitless demand, then you know the precise cryptocurrencies with the potential to explode in value to as much as 100,000% in the next few years, and by as much as 1,000% over the next year. Of course, you still need to know a couple of trading strategies to take full advantage of this secret, which is the real reason why I'm talking to you today.
I know I'm excited to hear more about these strategies, but first, can you give us an example of limited supply and why that's so important?
Sure, a great example of limited supply is Bitcoin itself, the biggest cryptocurrency out there. There's only ever going to be 21 million units of Bitcoin. They're not allowed to quote unquote print up more. There will never be any more. It's mathematically impossible. The creators of Bitcoin built limited supply right into the computer code of Bitcoin itself. That's actually really important to know. You can read it in the software. No one is allowed to just call up their government and say, print more Bitcoin. It's mathematically impossible. I want to stress how important that is. Another example is Zcash, which also has a 21 million limit, which means there's never going to be more than 21 million Zcash in the world. The supply is completely limited. It's right in the computer software.
So one part of your secret is to find cryptocurrencies where supply is limited right in the computer code. What do you mean by limitless demand?
I mean, only by into cryptocurrencies that actually solve a real world problem. And I think a lot of people forget this. Currencies, money in general solves problems. The cryptocurrencies that we're going to recommend solve problems so big, problems where so many people desire it, that demand becomes limitless. In fact, these currencies will solve big enough problems that potentially billions of people around the world could buy into them. On the flip side, if a currency doesn't really solve any problems, then it's useless and therefore has no real value. And this is an important distinction. To go back to Bitcoin, it's powered by something called the blockchain. And I don't want to get into too much of the technical details because they're not really important. But I will say this. We live in a world now where privacy has been stripped from us. We see it in every level of our lives. There's an intrinsic value to you having your privacy. Privacy has a cost and a value. Practically everyone on earth values some sort of privacy. That's why the blockchain, which is associated with Bitcoin, has an intrinsic value more than any other currency in history. A lot of computing power and software has been put in place, baked into these cryptocurrencies to make sure that the more governments strip you of your privacy, the more valuable a cryptocurrency becomes. This is why Bitcoin in particular has potentially limitless demand, especially once entire countries, countless retailers, central banks start getting behind blockchain, and cryptocurrencies. I'm so confident in all this, I can all but guarantee you Bitcoin is not going to stay at just even $5,000 a coin. It's going to be a $200,000 coin. And I'm not even, that sounds like an exaggeration, but it's not. It's really simple economics. There's huge demand for money. We all want money. And there's a tiny, tiny amount of Bitcoin. So that number of Bitcoin, the value of Bitcoin is going to rise to fit the demand, the worldwide demand for money.
Can you give us another example?
Sure. Another example is Zcash, which I mentioned. Like Bitcoin, it also offers privacy, but it also adds a layer of anonymity that Bitcoin doesn't have. How much demand is there for true anonymity? Well, I would say quite a bit. Enough where I'm comfortable stating Zcash also has essentially limitless demand.
According to my notes, Zcash has gone from as low as $37 and to as high as $370 in the last few months.
Yeah, and I believe that's just the beginning for Zcash. Zcash is a lot further to go.
Can you share another example of limitless demand?
Yeah, I believe there's a very popular cryptocurrency called Ethereum that has the potential for limitless demand because of one special ability. Again, one problem they solve. They have the ability to create what's called smart contracts.
What is a smart contract?
Smart contracts are, I don't want to get too much in the weeds, but smart contracts are computer protocols intended to verify or enforce the performance of a contract all by themselves. You can think of them as like this automated vending machine for contracts. Typically, if you and I were going to make a contract, what would we do? We would go to a lawyer or a notary, we'd pay them, we'd wait while they wrote a contract and a document. They charge us exorbitant amount of money for their services, like they always charge too much. Ethereum, it's like you could go to Ethereum with the same needs and boom, out pops a contract. It's very easy and in most cases free. But the best part is this. Not only do smart contracts define the rules and penalties around an agreement in the same way that traditional contracts do, but it's designed to automatically enforce these obligations. Ethereum has this smart contract capability built into its computer software. Ask yourself this, how many lawyers are on the planet right now? Do you know?
No idea.
Well, in the US alone, there's 1.3 million lawyers. And how many of us enjoy dealing with lawyers? Do you like dealing with lawyers?
No, not usually. No.
Anybody filming this likes dealing with lawyers? No, nobody does. Based on that alone, there's limitless demand for Ethereum in the very near future.
According to my notes, actually, Ethereum is up 2,400% in the last 12 months. So James, let me ask you this. How many of these legitimate cryptos would you say are out there? In other words, how many have limited supply and limitless demand?
There's some cryptocurrencies out there that solve some problems, but not all of the problems. For example, Bitcoin, again, we'll always get back to because it's the most popular cryptocurrency. Bitcoin solves many of the problems, but it didn't solve some of the problems on anonymity. So Zcash was created. It kept the core philosophy of Bitcoin, but solves in a much deeper way the anonymous problem. On the other hand, Zcash doesn't have even close to the user base of Bitcoin. That's why I do not advocate, I don't suggest buying only one of these cryptocurrencies. You want a small portfolio of them to trade.
You mentioned earlier that you have a few specific strategies to share about how to trade these legitimate currencies. So where should people start?
You need a couple of strategies to get started. Let me share a couple of my favorites right here so you can get started immediately. First, you want to start out with a proven allocation model, meaning, where do you put your money, where and how big, and how do you diversify, and so on. You want to be safely diversified and position yourself to collect massive gains. Second, you're going to want to look for what I call arbitrage opportunities. For example, when one currency takes off and you have a chance to take money off the table and reallocate it to the others in your portfolio, that could be a trading opportunity. Third, you want to be able to do this over and over and over again, compounding your profits. Fourth, you want to be able to get into new cryptos as they come onto the market, specifically ones that meet the requirements of limited supply and limitless demand. Remember, this is an incredibly fast-changing marketplace. It changes every day. That's both the challenge and the massive opportunity, because we're going to help identify where all those opportunities are. But all the strategies I'm recommending are easy to pull off now, once you know how. And each could pay off as much as 10 times your investment in the next few months, and possibly as much as 1,000 times over the next couple of years, which feels ridiculous every time I say it, but it's exactly true, just using the simple math we've already discussed. So I want everyone watching to have a chance to join me on this.
And that is why James is launching a brand new research service called Altucher Crypto Trader. This is the only service in the world that shows you how to trade the hottest cryptocurrencies with relative safety and security using what he calls the 100,000% secret.
I should mention, I stumbled across this secret because I'm connected to an extensive network of very smart people. And that's the same experience I want to give users of the Altucher Crypto Trader. Using my network, I've located a small group of experts and hired them to use the 100,000% crypto secret to look inside the actual computer code, including my chief crypto analyst in this service, Kamal Ravikant. Kamal is an entrepreneur and partner at Evolve VC, one of the most successful venture capital funds I know about, where he manages millions of dollars and often teams up with other funds managing hundreds of millions of dollars on various deals. Kamal is one of the top investors in cryptocurrencies. Honestly, you won't find anyone smarter or more connected than him. If you've never heard of Kamal before, it's because he's never worked in the financial publishing business before. He's brand new to this industry, but I got him, I begged him, and he agreed to work for the Altucher Crypto Trader because this is a service we really want to use to help people allocate their portfolio correctly as this space starts to explode. In fact, Kamal will be working with me to recommend the same kind of trading strategies he uses right now in his own VC fund.
And how many of these will you recommend? I mean, can you tell us which ones you'll be recommending?
Well, the beauty of the 100,000% secret is it narrows down our trading universe to only the top 1% of cryptos with true intrinsic value. Those with, again, limited supply and unlimited potential demand. I've mentioned a few of them already on this broadcast. There are others very few have heard about before. For example, there's a very new crypto out there, one that just popped up on our radar screen. It just had its initial coin offering, or what's called an ICO, something I'll discuss more in a minute. The beauty of this crypto is it intends to solve this enormous problem of how to create decentralized storage alongside of currencies. If someone hacks Google, for instance, and I stored all my photos on Google Drive, all my photos are gone. Or if the government or somebody hacks in and wants to see all my photos, which is they would see nothing special. I can trust you, or you can trust me. All they have to do is they find that one place where I store them all and they can hack in and see them. That's centralized storage. With decentralized storage, the data behind your photos and other documents are scattered among maybe millions of different computers, giving you both privacy and security. With this new crypto, I get paid in this cryptocurrency itself if I agree to let someone use my computer as part of the decentralized storage. So in short, millions of people could be incentivized to grow this decentralized network. Again, huge problem, unlimited demand. I mean, think about the demand for Google Drive, Dropbox, and all the other cloud services out there. Unlimited demand. but very limited supply. Already, this new currency is up 788% in only a few weeks. Will we be recommending this to our readers? It's hard to say right now. We'll see. But it's an example of this kind of brand new cryptocurrencies we will be looking at for this new service.
Can you tell us how your research service works?
Kamal and I designed the Altucher crypto trader to work radically simple. Really, if you just choose to invest, it boils down to just 3 steps. Step 1, you buy the handful of cryptocurrencies we're recommending using our proprietary allocation model. In a minute, I'm going to show you how simple this is. Even if you've never purchased a Bitcoin or any other crypto in your entire life, we'll make it easy. With this one step, you'll be on your way to the chance to get 100,000% gains over the next few years. Plus, you can feel good knowing you are diversified among only the best of the best, but it gets better. Step 2, you'll actively trade these handful of legitimate cryptocurrencies and no other. With all the volatility, and it's crazy volatility, with all the volatility in the cryptocurrency market, there are tremendous opportunities for what I'm calling crypto arbitrage plays.
How do those work?
Basically, Kamal and I will look for opportunities where one of these cryptos becomes massively undervalued or overvalued based on external circumstances that we feel are irrational, and this happens almost every single day, and then we'll use these opportunities to arbitrage. For example, I'll give you a specific example. On December 6, 2016, just in the last year, there was a situation where Ethereum became undervalued through something called the Ethereum fork. Using an allocation model that Kamal and I invented and have backtested, you could have cashed in on an incredible 6,614% gain in just 6 months. But it gets even better because you could have had the chance to park your money from this trade into Bitcoin for an additional 59% gain in only 2 months. That's a grand total of 10,575% in only about 8 months using only 2 trades. To do the math, let's say you started with $10,000 of this crypto arbitrage trade, you'd be walking away with $105,750 in profit.
That's amazing. Do you have other examples of these crypto arbitrage trades?
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of scenarios that Kamal and I have backtested. For example, it's another example, in June 2016, you could have also gotten into Ethereum at a really great price and cashed out for a 406% gain. Then you could have had the chance to put your profits in another undervalued but highly valuable cryptocurrency for a 499% gain in only 3 months. And then you could have had the chance to put profits from this trade in Bitcoin for a 61% gain in only 2 months. All in, you'd be looking at a 4,780% gain from these arbitrage trades. I've located others where you could have made 106%, 347%, 484%, 627%, 907%. You could have grabbed some of these gains in as fast as a few weeks. Of course, these are all historical examples of what future crypto arbitrage plays could look like if we had perfect timing. And you need a bit of luck to make them all work out to these exact numbers. But my point is, and this is important, using these strategies we've developed can amplify your gains by 10, 20, even 100 times.
I think you mentioned 3 steps. What is the 3rd step?
Well, very important. Step 3 is getting into and trading one of these what's called initial coin offerings, or ICOs, that I mentioned, where new cryptos are released to the market similar to an IPO with stocks. I told you about one of these ICOs that Kamal and I were tracking that went up about 8 times already in only a few weeks. The numbers you are seeing in these ICOs are pretty crazy. For example, a crypto called First Blood, available to vampires only, had its first offering back in September of last year. Since then, it's gone up as much as 1,627%. But, important, First Blood doesn't actually fit the allocation model that Kamal and I have developed. Might end up being great, who knows? But we can't verify First Blood's intrinsic value, so we won't ever recommend it to you. In Altucher Crypto Trader, we are only going to make recommendations to get into ICOs that fit our allocation model and have limited supply and potentially limitless demand built into the software.
Who is your service for? Like, do you need any computer skills or trading experience to use it?
That's the beauty of this. This is not a service for computer geeks or nerds or hackers or anything like that. Kamal and I designed this service grounds up to give regular people a chance to make money from this crypto explosion. Using a secret I've personally used and also back tested for reliability. I personally know top venture capitalists using these strategies, but we also have made this service radically simple. As I said before, anyone at all can get rich using my secret. I'm not really that special of a person, but I've been able to do it personally, making 8,000% on a trade I described earlier. You don't need to be a trader or a venture capitalist. You don't need a lot of free time. To get the most out of this service, all you really need is the desire to make 100,000% in the next few years, or as much as 1,000% in the next 12 months by getting into the right cryptocurrencies with limited supply and limitless demand. Making crypto arbitrage plays like I've shown you today and getting into the right ICOs or initial coin offerings. If you have this desire, then Kamal and I designed this service for you.
How often do you anticipate finding these crypto arbitrage plays or new ICOs to get into?
The good news is you don't have to be chained to your computer to use these strategies. This isn't day trading or anything like that. Kamal and I will find you a play at least twice a month. Most months, you'll hear from us more often. When we find one, we'll immediately have an email sent right to your inbox along with exact instructions of how to set up the trade. We also vet the people behind every cryptocurrency we recommend, including the founders and backers, something almost impossible for anyone not deeply connected with Silicon Valley.
As James mentioned, Altucher Crypto Trader will give you at least 2 cryptocurrency trades per month, including crypto arbitrage plays, along with the new ICOs that fit James and Kamal's models. But James also wants to send you something else, a special bonus called Altucher's Crypto Trade Handbook. Inside this slim, no-nonsense guide, you will discover the full story of how James discovered the 100,000% crypto secret, why the shift from theism to humanism to dataism is opening a potentially life-changing opportunity for you right now, why it's possible to get started with the secrets with as little as a few $100s, why 99% of cryptocurrencies are scams and how to tell which, how anyone can discover which cryptocurrencies have limited supply and unlimited demand by looking inside the computer codes, how to set up the ultimate crypto portfolio and know which exact cryptocurrencies to buy and trade using Kamal and James's proprietary allocation model, why James and Kamal's trading strategy is radically simple and designed to work for anyone with the desire to get rich from cryptocurrencies, even if you have zero experience, how it's possible to make as much as 10,575% setting up crypto arbitrage plays, how to tell which ICOs to get into and how to know which to avoid, and dozens of other secrets you won't find anywhere else. You will not find this information anywhere else, not on podcasts or websites, not on Amazon.com or Barnes & Noble, not in any of James's other newsletters. This information James has never released before. And by joining Altucher Crypto Trader today, you can get this handbook free. And in less than 2 minutes, I'm going to tell you how you can join and get instant access to this book. But first, James, going back to your service, what makes what you offer different than some of